Hello and welcome to Australia for round one of the season. I am here on ERL, obviously, for today's race for Tier 1 for... I'm not really sure what season we are on now, but still, we are here, which I've already said, and we are at the circuit of Melbourne, obviously in Australia. So, yeah, hopefully it should be a good race. It's the first race of the season, of the new season, and of Tier 1. Obviously, haven't got a co-commentator, which is a bit of a shame. But nonetheless, we're here anyway. Just going to get on my glasses, because I need to read your names, otherwise I'm going to be a blind bat, really. Which would be not really that great commentary. So, we got Tom, and he's in pole. Well, not in pole, he's first. Then we got Charlie Harris. Then we got Stuart, Neil, Appledorm, Iron Kid, Radubry. Not really too sure of his name. We'll just call him the Haas driver, no offence. I always get FCG. Can't really pronounce that name. I'm going to have to really learn it. Shade. I'm going to pronounce it Shade or Shidi. Shade. I think Shade, because his last part is, like Shade or whatever. Then we got Dan, then Brian, Briggsy, and then Kev King, Zonnevild, Top Car Vlogger, Man's Not Bob, Piers, and then Morgan. Then we got Mufasa, Elliot, and Top House Vlogger. Those are your 20 drivers for this first race of the season and for, well, this first round around Australia, which overall isn't necessarily a favourite for the drivers to be going, but yeah, it's a decent-ish track overall, and we've already got a retirement. Nonetheless, Neil is going to be the first driver to begin his lap then here in Australia. I'm going to get rid of some things, and don't need to know the tyres, because everyone should be on softs, so that just makes a little bit that bit smaller on the left-hand side, just makes it a bit more so you can see the car and what the driver is hopefully doing a bit more in the car. And then Neil heads towards turn 1, or not turn 1, turn 1, yep, this is turn 1, ladies and gents. He's heading towards the middle sector of this then sector 2, I meant to say originally, but then down open the DRS through that, well, left then right, fast chicane. Pretty sure that's like turn 11. Not really too sure what corner names are around here, to be fair. Around Melbourne Park, or Albert Park, around Melbourne. It is a beautiful track though. It's actually one of my favourite tracks, but Neil is going to complete the lap then, around the final corner then, and what is going to be his pole time, or his provisional pole, it's a 1:18 then, to kick things off. Now, is there a car behind him? And I don't think so. Well, Neil is then the next one. So I think Charlie Harris will be the car after Iron Kid, who's gone pole, then ahead of Neil. So here goes Charlie, and Charlie immediately goes to the top of your times. Now, Tom is the next driver, I think, on a lap. Does have a bit of traffic, which could affect him slightly towards the end of this lap, but we'll have to wait and see if it does or doesn't. And FG Day has retired as Tom goes P4, so a few flurry of cars now coming across the line as Stuart is the next one to cross the line, goes into P2. That's a decent effort from him. Briggsy crosses the line and goes P3. Not sure what's gone on there, but seems like someone's got in someone's way, and another car also again in the way of someone else. Appledorm's going to come across the line though to complete his first run, and where can he go? Obviously one of the quick drivers in the league and potentially a challenger for this Tier 1 season. goes P3 then. So good effort from him. Kev King up to the line now and goes P3, so displaces Appledorn down to 4th. And next up will be Mans Not Bob, who's currently in the 3rd final sector. Keeps the car nicely in the track boundaries through there. Then on the exit, keeps it nice. Then through the final few corners, round the final corner with pit lane on the right. Then runs it a bit far out to the line, taking a lot of the curb on the exit, but across the line he'll go and goes into 4th ahead of Appledorn, but behind then by literally 1,000th of a second. But I'm a bit confused actually. Is this the gap between the drivers, or is this a gap between everyone? So actually, Mans Not Bob and Kev King, I think, have done the same time, but to me it's saying Mans Not Bob is quicker when I look at the interval between the leader. So by 1,000th, technically, surely Mans Not Bob should be 3rd. I'm a bit confused why he isn't 3rd there, but we'll see. Zonnevild, anyway, is the next car to take a track, or to go attack this track. And he is gone through then the first 2. Was on the grass a little bit, does seem to be taking a few liberties with his car. So does have to be careful, because obviously don't want to get too close to the wall. But then again, does need to take those liberties, I suppose. Bit of a lift through that corner, probably needs to iron that out on the second run to try and attempt that flat out if we want to be up there with the top contenders for this evening. Because obviously through there, but then it is difficult once you're in then the league, I suppose, and you're on it. But 2 seconds off, that's a big gap to the first, really. In 13th. Obviously, it is a difficult track, this track. It's not the easiest one to master a lap, obviously, around at Albert Park. But that's what I like, you know, there is a challenge, you know. Hopefully there won't be too many DNFs. Hopefully we have a nice, clean race today. And not too many safety cars. I feel that this could be a few safety cars in this race, because obviously we are, well, it's first race of the season. I'm not saying that's going to be the reason why, but the reason why I think there could be a few is because simply, well, it's Albert Park, isn't it? And it's Melbourne, and quite frankly, it's a street track, and street tracks are notoriously difficult for most drivers, but for Top Car Vlogger, he has put his car onto provisional pole for now, by 12 thousandths of a second, so that's a very good effort from him. Right, next is Piers. He's not on a lap, so Mufasa, I think, is next driver on a lap, actually, followed by Piers, who's in 18th. Both of these drivers haven't set a lap. In fact, both McLarens haven't set a lap as of yet, but very nicely done, that first sector by Mufasa. Very looking hooked up, really, to the lap. Can he continue this? So far doing a very good first sector, really. So into the middle. Again, looking very good so far from Mufasa. I think this lap could be up there. Depends really how he does it in the 3rd and final sector, but does look like he's hooking up the apexes. It look like he got a great car balance, Mufasa does, and this will be then him coming around the final corner then for this final effort, then, well, not final effort, but first effort for him, and gets on the leaderboard, and it is a good effort by him. It's a well, it's up to 4th for now. That's a very, very good effort. Did say it did look a decent-ish lap. Piers went into 10th, so not bad for him either. I mean, the lap time so far, only a second splitting the top 13, so that's pretty competitive. We only got 2 DNFs so far, 2 drivers who haven't completed the qualifying. One's got disqualified, the other, well, has retired, unfortunately. But, yeah, nonetheless, Dandan is about to also finish a lap, is he? Or no, sorry, Dandan's about to start a lap. So someone else must be on then a different lap. We're going to have a quick look at Charlie, because he's was only 12 thousandths off, so he's invalidated then. So who is next then to come across the line? Won't be Top House Vlogger, because he's got a invalidation, but will be Briggsy then probably. We'll pick up a bit of a tow from the back of the Ferrari, probably of Iron Kid. I think Iron Kid is just about to begin a lap and does pick up, well, a decent amount of positions as well. Goes into 4th, and Top Car Flogger has obviously gone, well, he's at the top of the times. So we're waiting on, obviously, Iron Kid and rest to do a lap. Still waiting on also others. Iron Kid has now invalidated. Top House Flogger also again invalidated his lap. So got Elliot. So presume maybe Dandan's on a lap? Nope. So Elliot then must be on a lap, I hope. Someone's got to be on a lap somewhere. And he's now invalidated. Everyone seems to want to invalidate their laps at the moment. Not good, really. Right, man's not Bob. Please do not invalidate. That is your mission. I don't care where you actually go, just don't invalidate, so don't go off the track. And you've done exactly that. You've gone off the track. That is brilliant. Brilliant driving. So, pretty sure his lap is ruined. We'll just stay on board in case he still somehow manages to find time. But, yeah, probably is going to be his lap then ruined then here after that error. Probably see him dive back off into the pit lane. And indeed he does. And in fact, Stuart, we've just missed it, has gone on to provisional pole. So, yep, whilst we were paying attention to Man's Not Bob ruining his lap, Stuart has actually gone on to pole. But I think Appledorn then will be about to start a lap, and same with Iron Kid. Both of them got their batteries fully recharged. So, here they go then. This time, keeps it in track limits at turn 1. Doesn't invalidate. Getting very, very close actually to invalidating. From obviously, well, from that there. So in the middle sector, then, and in the background you've got like almost a Shakespeare globe there on the exit of that corner, which it isn't the Shakespeare globe. Should stress that, but could be. Anyway, we'll see what Appledorn was doing as well. Appledorn isn't, I don't think, going fast as sectors either. So anyway. Through the middle sector then we go for Iron Kid, who's now down to 10th, and really good sector from him. What's Appledorn doing? For whatever reason, not showing me Appledorn's lap time either, so I've only got really, well, Iron Kid's lap time, and then we're just going to have to wait and see what basically Appledorn does. So I don't really know how they're both doing compared to one another, but Iron Kid is on a decent effort. He will probably finish this lap off. Does have a bit of traffic, which could impede him a little bit and cause him a bit of dirty air. But yeah, Iron Kid about to come across the line now. Appledorn, I think, has gone into the pit lane, and only 10th for the Ferrari driver. So that's not a run he would have wanted. He probably would have wanted to be quicker. But for Brian, then, he will start his lap now. And obviously, well, this will be his effort to try and move up the order. Currently 1.1 down and improving by 0.2. That's a decent effort by Brian. So, what can Brian do to elevate himself up the order? Currently 0.2 up then in the first on his own Delta. Is this going to be even more of an improvement? Only a 10th now up, so lost a little bit of time in the middle. Doesn't improve anything more dramatically than by Brian, but touches the grass a little bit and goes off the circuit, and that will be his lap ruined, unfortunately. We'll have time to probably get in and out if he wants to do that. Same with Iron Kid. Probably will have time to get back into pits and back out again, because it is a short run or a short out lap here. Only a minute, so for some of the cars, obviously, probably too now much committed to a lap, such as Neil, to do what I've just suggested. But yeah, for the rest of the cars, obviously, Iron Kid, Brian will have time to do another lap here in qualifying. Obviously, a lot of the cars are in the pits, only very few committed to a lap, so Brian is going to be one of probably the last few. I'm not sure if he's actually going to come in here. Probably is. I'm probably really watching the wrong person, as Pierre's probably the better person to watch at the moment and goes into 6th. Let's see if Neil committed to that. Nope, he didn't, and in then he will come. Now, this is going to be a tight turnaround for him, so going to have to swiftly get this one, well, get on a set of tyres and get back out there. That is what he's going to have to do. And Stewart has retired, actually, from the session, so Stewart is out. So does he feel he's got enough in hand, with only being a tenth ahead, to get this pole position? Currently in the first sector, Charlie hasn't improved. In fact, he's actually lost 15 thousandths of a second. Goes almost into the barrier in that middle sector. Went very, very wide. But then it could just be the onboard. I'm not really too sure. You know, because sometimes the game isn't synced. But through the middle, only 35 thousandths down. So, again, not really any sort of improvement that would make me think that this is going to see him jump even Top Car Flogger up the order into P2. At the moment, I think he's dead set to stay where he is, unless he has an absolute mega monster final sector, which possibly could happen, but very, very unlikely, unfortunately, for Charlie. I think this will be then his run to the line. Does he improve? Does he go pole? But nope, remains then where he is, still a tenth off then the times. So he will not improve then. Briggsy, the next one to then go for it on a lap around here. Everyone is pretty much doing either out laps or on a lap then now, out of all of these drivers. I think Mufasa is the next car around. Kev King's coming up to the line now. Can Kev King make a jump? Yes, he can, and actually goes into fifth. That's a very decent effort by Kev King. Briggsy is actually improving quite nicely in the first sector, so that's a nice marginal gain he's made. Now what can he do in the second sector? That's going to be the key question. Currently 3.5 tenths off pole. Can he maybe find that 3 tenths? Currently improving by 1.5. So this is going to be a decent improvement by Briggsy potentially here to get into the top 4, top 3 maybe. Can he even find any more time in this final sector? If he's left anything out there, well, he will have to find it now. Then as he comes around the final 2 corners, currently is about a tenth and a half up on his own time. So that would probably put him in to 4th. Is this going to be any sort of improvement? Goes only 5th, but is a good effort by him too. So let's see what Top Car Flogger's doing. And only 4 thousandths down in the first. So Top Car Flogger only a tenth off then Stewart, who currently is no longer in the session or is retired from the session, but improves in the middle by 14 thousandths of a second. So if he's going to go for it, and that was so close to being in validation, almost looked like he was outside of track limits there for a moment. To be fair, I'm going to have to go back and review that later to see if that was or wasn't inside the track limits, but that looked stupidly close to being an invalidation there from Top Car Flogger. But around the final corner he will come. Can he improve? Has he found even more time? Well, the answer to that is now no. So I think pretty much our grid is set. Unless Man's Not Bob can deliver the shock of a century, I don't think he can. What about Mufasa? Can he deliver the shock of a century as he rounds the final corner? Going to be one of the final cars to round the final corner. Is this going to be a big improvement? It is an improvement, up into 7th. Not bad effort from him. What about Appledorn? Can he find something in this last moment of qualifying? He's the last car that's really probably within a half a second of the pole time, so probably the last car you'd have to consider of a shout of getting pole here. And he does get pole. It's pole position then for Appledorn, who displaces Stewart at the last gasp of qualifying. Or is it not? Hold on, I'm really, really confused, because literally I've seen him go top. Who's displaced him? Dan Dan. Did Dan Dan really displace him? I thought, was Dan Dan on a lap? I thought Dan Dan done his lap. Oh well. There we go. Dan Dan has done a lap that somehow is quicker than Appledorn. So my apology to Appledorn. You didn't get pole position. I put the commentator's curse on you, I suppose. Anyway, Dan Dan in pole, Appledorn P2, Stewart P3, Top Car Flogger P4, P5 we've got Charlie, then P6 we've got Briggsy, P7 Kev King, P8 Mufasa, 9th is Piers, and then 10th Man's Not Bob rounding out top 10. In then 11th, Top House Flogger, Iron Kid, Neil, Tom in 14th, Brian 15th, Morgan 16th, Zonneville 17th, Elliot 18th, then Rajubi and can't remember FCDHD or something, I don't know, is rounding at the back of the grid. So there you go. That's your grid for then the Melbourne Grand Prix, and now we will get into the race, which hopefully will be a quite eventful one. But not too eventful, hopefully also clean. We'll see who comes out on top for this Australian Grand Prix. So, it's 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and away we go then for then the Australian Grand Prix. Dandan makes a good start from pole. Has he got through that cleanly? Indeed he has. Gives Appledorm a slight pinch to the apex, but it was absolutely fine, nothing wrong with that. And further down the field, not sure if there's been any incidents. Don't think there has, actually. Very, very clean start. Oh no, Iron Kid has lost actually a little bit out there, and a bit of end plate also for good measure, and it looked like actually Nils lost his entire front wing, so there has been a slight incident at the back of the grid, but otherwise seems like all of our drivers have all made it safely and cleanly through the first few corners, so only Neil and Iron Kid, them two, getting affected and caught up there. Gonna have a look at the tyres in a minute or two to see what everyone has started on. But nonetheless, back to the race leader. Dandan leads the way then from Appledorm, who put in apparently that special lap, which we absolutely missed, who went on to pole by half a second, which is pretty insane when you think of it. In pretty much what is a spec series, obviously, obviously with equal cars racing online, you know, it is effectively an even series, so no one really has any advantage. There are still, like, how can you put it, tiny differences between the cars, but nothing dramatic. So, nonetheless, Dandan is leading the way from Appledorm as we head on to lap 2. Now, let's have a look what everyone's started on. So we got Dandan on mediums. In fact, pretty much majority of the field have gone for mediums. There is slight difference in strategy opinion then around this track, clearly, because Top Car Flogger has gone for softs, which is certainly going to be pretty bold. So he's going to have a lot of pace in this first stint, for the first maybe, I don't know, 6 laps. Then you got Top Car Flogger, House Flogger, and Elliot, and then FCG and Neil all on hards. Obviously, Neil has just actually stopped, so my apologies. But Zonneville, FGD, and Elliot and Flogger, Top House Flogger, have all gone for the hards. Everyone else on mediums, and Top Car Flogger on soft. So both of the Floggers have basically gone for different tyre strategies compared to what their peers and rivals around them. But Dandan building out now a second lead now. That'll be important because DRS is now active, and if Appledorm is within basically under a second, he will benefit from drag reduction, which will help him get ever closer to the rear wing and to the rear gearbox of that McLaren. But for now, it looks like actually Appledorn, is he going to be close enough? He might just have gained the DRS. We're going to have to wait and see if he got that rear wing open by the time we get to then the DRS zone, and he has in fact gained the DRS. Now that's going to be so key because there's 3 DRS zones around Melbourne. Your DRS zone obviously comes at the end of the first sector in the middle, then this is the second DRS zone, so it's a double effect, so you're going to really pull him close. In fact, there's 4 DRS zones, my bad, 4, not 3. But yeah, 4 DRS zones around this Melbourne. Effectively, it's a DRS, slipstream train if you can keep within the DRS. And that is effectively what Appledorn has, well, just managed to do. So once again, that rear wing of the Red Bull will be opening up and will be giving him an extra, well, potential 20 kph down the straight. Then plus the slipstream will also help. And you can just see now how much closer Appledorn has got just through the use of that DRS then here to the back of Dandan, and he's ever so closer because the lap ago he was about a second. Dandan was ahead of Appledorn, and now Appledorn is within 6/10 of the race leader. Zonneveld then takes up a 3-second time penalty, and he won't be a happy bunny with the stewards. But is Top Car Flogger about to make a move? He is looking very close to the back of the Red Bull, but isn't close enough. Gets a decent exit out then the chicane and down then towards this heavy braking zone, but is not going to be anywhere near close enough. However, the gap though between the top 5 really has then been building, as seems like we're getting a big gap between Briggsy and then the rest, by the looks of it. So Stewart is the last real car in that battle then for the lead of the Grand Prix, as everyone else seemingly fighting it out for then P6 in the race. And Mufasa making a move with the DRS, of course, down the inside, keeps his car nicely to the apex. And unfortunately for Briggsy, by the time we get to the apex of turn 1, he's no longer ahead. As we're seeing now, Top House Flogger maybe trying to attempt Ramy outside, but can't do it. Obviously, he is on the hard, so we'll have a little bit less grip still this phase of the race. Probably those hards won't come to really be a benefit until maybe lap 8, lap 10, I'm thinking. So for him, obviously for Top House Flogger, he's going to be going really long and deep into this one, trying to obviously overcut everyone. Obviously you do have the undercut, overcut. Obviously, in case you're wondering what I mean by those terminologies, well, the undercut is pretty simple. When you stop before, the overcut is when you can maybe go a little bit longer but also go faster. Effectively, for the overcut to work, you basically got to have the ability to be able to put in the lap times when you need it. The other thing is the offset. Obviously, the offset strategy, again, you go longer, you use fresher tyres towards the end of the Grand Prix, and you obviously benefit out of having the fresher tyres at the end of the Grand Prix. But then for that offset to work, you do need it to be significant, as one of the retired cars in the way, I believe that was Elliott's car there, that has done that, and they all had to take a bit of evasive action to avoid then the Aston Martin. So lap 6 of the race, and currently then we haven't had any positional change for the lead, but we are about to now, as Appledorn gets past then Dandan and is now your new race leader. And in fact, the top 2 have actually kind of bolted away from Top Car Flogger and from Charlie and Stewart. So them 3 have actually got away, as we're now seeing, actually Top Car Flogger fall down the order. So them softs, I did say, only going to last about 6 laps, and indeed that is literally what they've lasted, no more. Now for him, what does he do? Because obviously he does have good pace, but does seem to now have no longer the tyre there with him. So how does he get back into the fight for first, or even for, let's say, a podium? Because right now he would be in 5th, which isn't bad, but he is going to be losing also time to Mufasa, who's actually gaining quite nicely. But that's built actually quite the nice lead for our 2 race leaders here, and that's going to be quite difficult for them or for the cars behind to get back into that because of that lead. But we've now actually got a safety car, and you know what? That's come at the absolute perfect timing for Top Car Vlogger, that safety car, because his tyres would, well, basically be dead and be starting to give up, whereas for the others, you know, pretty much this isn't ideal. But that's perfect timing for Top Car Vlogger there to now have this safety car in the race, and this will effectively nullify everyone and bunch everyone back up together. So everyone who built out a lead, like the top 2, effectively their lead is now gone, and effectively they'll have to restart this race, or not restart the race, but they'll have to, you know, yeah, basically do a safety car restart and, well, see if anyone comes in. Obviously, Top Car Vlogger does come in, unsurprisingly there. Everyone else opting to stay out. Now, I'm going to see what Top Car Vlogger does in terms of tyre strategy, and he is obviously going on to now the mediums. Now, that's a long way to go on a set of mediums, obviously. There is still a lot of laps left. I'm not really sure if he can make that medium tyre work to the end. Would be very, very bold if he could. 19, well, it'd be probably about 19 laps he'll have to do on that medium. So, yeah, it's a very, very long way to go on a set of mediums. Probably if he went hard, I think hard could have made it to the end. But the trouble is, going hard at this stage in race, would you still be quicker? Well, you probably would, actually. Yeah, I think he should have probably gone hard. If I was him, I think hard would have been his best port of call. But medium's okay, I suppose. We'll have a lot of pace, obviously, over the other mediums. And, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what he does on that tyre, and if he can make his way now up through the order. So, safety car. Hopefully be in at the end of this lap. If not, it'll probably be at the end of the next lap. Then here, in this race, we'll have to wait and see what occurs. Yep. Obviously, we are waiting for the safety car period to end, which it probably should very, very soon. So, safety car is coming back into pit lane now, and what will Appledorn do? He is leaving a bit of a gap down, which eventually closes up, but he's gone now, Appledorn, and there we go. So, race is back underway then for the second time in ERL for round 1 of the season. Then it's been a good race so far between the leaders of Appledorn and Dandan. Can that battle continue for supremacy here down under? As Elliot has obviously left the session, but yep, thought that was a retirement for a second. As Rude Drewbury going around the outside of then Kev King gets the move done in there. Beautiful move, and Morgan also doing a similar move on Top Car Flogger, defending that inside line then. So lap 10 then we are on. Obviously Top Car Flogger going to have some really, really good pace, he should, in this stint and in this part of the race compared to those ahead of him. Obviously does have the youngest tyres on the track compared to those on softs, but yeah, for him this will be his opportunity. And it's now actually, I think, beginning to rain, so we've actually got rain and Morgan's off the track, so Morgan into the gravel. That's going to be a free position made up by Top Car Flogger. And now, in a sense, I can understand why we've probably ended up seeing some drivers go for the softs, which actually logically I suppose now makes a lot of sense. But yes, now the rain is coming down, so how far away are we from the intermediate of the full wet? That's now going to be the huge big question in this Grand Prix, or in this race in round 1 of the season. Top Car Flogger obviously is going to have good tyres, but is it going to really make all that big of a difference for him? You know, this option, this strategy, maybe he should have gone softs. We're seeing a few cars already taking the gamble to go in for a set of the inters. I think that's probably not the right call. Bit too soon in my opinion, by looking at the track there. Certainly though will be getting a bit greasy and a bit difficult and a bit slippery. Rain is coming down, but not coming down that entirely heavy, so it is only light rain for now. So probably will take a few laps for the track to become wet and for it to become damp, where you would obviously go for the enters. But is this going to be Briggsy making a move on Top Car Flogger? It might be, as Briggsy then is really close to the back then of Top Car Flogger then there, almost for a second, looking maybe around the outside, as we see then Redrubery also making up a position on Top House Flogger. So we've got the two Floggers then currently, both of them are 8th and 9th then in this race. Obviously one of them's in the Alpha, the other's in the Williams then car. To be fair, I do prefer the Williams livery if I'm going to be truthful and, well, candid I suppose with you all. I think the Williams does look nicer, but here we go then for Top Car Flogger, overtaking then House Flogger, and there we go. That's Top Car Flogger into then P7, which he'll be, I suppose, happy, but is a long way off the lead at the moment. And Redrubery is going to then make up potentially then another position, looking at the rear of Mans Not Bob, who's currently in 5th. Do have a yellow flag, and it's a virtual safety car now for our racers. So, with the virtual safety car, does anyone decide now would be a good time to come in and pit? Obviously, if it stays out long enough, obviously they will get the benefit of a cheap stop, let's say, which could benefit someone. Obviously, maybe for someone like Charlie Harris, this could be a good time to take the gamble. Maybe for Dandan would be a great time to take the gamble here, given the fact he's lost out now 2 positions. Obviously, it will depend on how they feel the race is going to develop and whether or not, you know, it is wet enough and whether or not this virtual is going to make it be even wetter. But obviously, does anyone come in? Our race leader is going to come in, and so will actually then P3, and same with actually P4. So our top three, well, 3 of our top 4 into pits. Same with Man's Not Bob. So a lot of them going to go in for the inters. Obviously, Charlie Harris has actually taken the gamble to stay out. Now, who's right, who's wrong? Right now, to be fair, track conditions don't seem that wet enough. In fairness, as I said, is a gamble going in now, and obviously it is a cheap pit stop for them, so they will benefit from the cheap pit stop, but they will lose potentially if it remains still this dry in the long run. So in the long run, currently, you'd have to say Charlie Harris is on task to be pole. So we're going to have now look at the gap to the leader. So currently, Appledorm is 13.1 seconds behind the leader, and it is getting wetter and wetter. So is Appledorm right? Who is right here in this race? That's a big, big question, I suppose. And rain does seem to be coming down a bit more heavier now. Does seem like now there's like dots beginning to form, and when you can see just like dots beginning to form on the track, that usually indicates it's probably about time to come in for the inters. And yep, I think in the end, I think the ones who stopped in that virtual probably got the call right. So this is going to potentially move then Appledorm and Dan back up into P2 behind them, the race leader. But Charlie is happy to go again for at least another lap, obviously deciding, you know what, it's probably best now to stick it out there. But there is now obvious and clear puddles that are beginning to form, and I think probably that call to stay out is probably now the wrong one, and it's going to hurt Charlie Harris a lot here. And same with Top Car Vlogger and all the runners that are sticking out. Still a few of them going for the the slicks. Pretty much we've only got 4 now. Top 4 all on slicks, rest all on inters. So yeah, it's a bit of a gamble this from them, but I suppose again they will have a bit of a tyre offset, but I don't think that's going to make be much of a benefit here in this race then here for those drivers. So here we go then, lap 14, and you can just see how much wetter the track is now. Pretty much, if you stay out for another lap, it'll be be slick tyres on a wet track, which probably isn't wise to be doing that. Be sliding all over the place. Be like Formula, well, be like dancing on ice, I suppose. So I do expect our race leader to be in. If he does pit now and take the opportunity to pit now, would gain a lot from it, but still going on, and that's what happens when you don't pit, and that's going to cause a safety car. So actually for the drivers who didn't pit, I suppose them drivers are going to benefit a little bit out of the safety car. But yeah, that probably wasn't the right call from Charlie there. Unfortunately, thrown a decent result away. But for Dan will benefit out of that, and now be Appledorm who gets his lead nullified. So he's going to lose. But for everyone else, they'll get all put back together, and we'll have to restart this race once more in what is now very, very different conditions compared to what it was on the last safety car restart. Effectively, on the last safety car restart, it was obviously near enough bone dry. Well, it was bone dry, and on this one, it is obviously now full on wet. So yeah. So, we are, well, we're on lap 16. Hopefully safety car will be in at the end of this race. So that is what we're going to have to hope for. And at the end of this race, at the end of this lap, because it would be nice to get back racing. Having now too many laps behind the safety car on this one. And a few drivers got penalties. Let's have a quick look at what penalties everyone has received in this race. So pretty much everyone's got 3 seconds. The Fassa with 6, that's going to hurt him a lot if it was to finish in this order as is right now. Obviously he's 17, so wouldn't be much of a benefit. And Brian has actually picked up a drive-through penalty, so that's really going to hinder him quite a lot then here in this race, because yeah, for Brian, well, with that drive-through, unless there's another safety car, he's going to lose about 15 seconds to the rest of the pack, and that's not ideal. Obviously is intermediate, so probably is a big chance of another safety car, the 3rd safety car. We've had obviously 2 safety cars plus a virtual, so probably that's about 3. I think the maximum you can get is about 5 or 4, so potential chance there could be another, obviously, depending on if we see another DNF. So far, 2 DNFs in this race. First safety car, not really sure what that was caused by. I'm not sure if that was caused by Elliot's retirement on the track. Not really too sure why that first safety car came out. We'd have to go back and look what exactly triggered that safety car. First one. Second one was obviously caused by Charlie Harris's DNF. Tried to stay out on the mediums, tried to stay out on a damp track, and yep, tried to see it through. Now, I do wonder if it's getting a bit more drier actually, so could we see another change of tyre back to maybe the slicks? It does seem like it's getting a little bit brighter. Could be just a bit of deception. You know, potentially looking maybe a bit brighter, but it actually isn't. But yeah, it does look a little bit brighter if I'm going on onboards. He is on board. Potentially a bit drier. But anyway, we'll get back racing then here in this race very, very shortly. Right, Dan got a good safety car restart the last time. Sorry, not Dan, sorry, Appledorn got a good safety car restart. What can Dan do this time to follow? Obviously, we'll probably try to be a bit closer, I would have thought, potentially to the rear wing. That's what I would try and do. But again, Dan leaving a bit of a gap to the car ahead, which, nothing wrong in leaving a gap, but certainly when you're leaving that maybe much of a gap to the car ahead, you're probably making their life a bit too easy. Nonetheless, we are back racing them once again for the 2nd time, and pretty much Appledorn got a good start once again. Into the first corner we go. We're seeing now actually Man's Not Bob having a move done by Stewart. Stewart tried to send one around the outside of Man's Not Bob, but Man's Not Bob not having any of that. Now that's going to cost Stewart a few positions down even to the back of the Aston Martin of Rodri, who's going to be looking at getting ahead. Can Rodri, the Aston Martin, go around the outside? No. Does have a bit of damage to his wing end plate. Tries to send it up the inside, goes off the circuit. That's going to allow Stewart to get back on the inside, and that is Stewart through. Now Top House Vlogger's going to come through the pack on the inside there, and that is him up into 6th. So we're now seeing Briggsy having a look at Rodri, who's then in 8th. Then at the back, then we've also got a few cars fighting. Morgan up then the order from Piers, who's made the move up then there. And also Anchored is on the move as well then here. So what is going to happen in the next few corners or whatever, going to have to wait and see. As we've got actually a few spinners, is this going to trigger another safety car? Have to wait and see. We've seen Morgan and Kev King go up the order. So Morgan is currently went off the track, and up the order, Top Car Flogger going to overtake Man's Not Bob, and that's Top Car Flogger ahead in third now, and he's up the order as we see now two leaders battling away for second and first in this race, like they were doing a little bit earlier on. So we're going to stay on board with these two. So we are now on lap 19 of the race, and currently these two, well, kind of the closest battle on the track at the moment. Don't think anyone else is closer. And here we go then, Dan Dan looking at the inside and doesn't get the move done, but is going to be under pressure from Top Car Flogger, who is going to have a look also on the inside. We've got Iron Kid off the track and Yellow Flag again out in sector 2. So Iron Kid off and off again, then that's going to allow Morgan back up into 11th, with Zonnevild also making up a position then for what is a 10th place in this race. So who's on the move, I suppose? Probably still very close between top two, and it is indeed. Obviously the second stint, to be fair, Dan Dan looking a lot more racy, but Top Car Flogger looking a little bit maybe quicker than the top two right now. Seems to be the driver with the most, I suppose, confidence out there in terms of where he wants to position and stick his car. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. So here we go then. And here comes Top Car Flogger. Gets the move done. We'll have the outside line though for the next left chicane, and that's going to benefit him, and he's going to be ahead. So Top Car Flogger up into P2. Potentially, can he get P1? Has a look to the inside. Is he going to send it on the inside? No, but keeps the car nicely positioned, but so much more grip from Top Car Flogger. I'm going to have a quick look at if he's got fresher tyres. Did he pit in the second part of the race? I think he might have actually done. Yes, he did. So he does have 2 laps better tyres, but I don't think that would make much of a difference. But nonetheless, it is going to make a difference for him, and he is now leading this Australian Grand Prix. So for the first time in this race, we've got a new leader properly on the track, besides the top 2, which were Dan Dan and Appledorm. And Dan Dan now gets through. That's Appledorm for P2 in the race, and he's now up into second, with Appledorm now losing down 2 positions in third. Man's Not Bob currently in 4th, followed by Stewart. So Top House Flogger currently is doing a decent race. Some going on to wets. Is it really that bad out there where you'd go on to wets? I don't think that is probably the correct call, but yeah, wets is an interesting strategic option, I suppose, and strategy. I probably would have thought it's a bit too dry for wets, but I could be wrong. To be fair, those are the drivers out there anyway. It's very cool. And in fact, Stewart almost took Man's Not Bob out the race there. Came so close to the back of Man's Not Bob's car. Literally, I thought he was going to take him out for a second. Accidentally, of course. Wouldn't have done it on purpose, I don't think. But yeah, really got close to the back of the rear of Man's Not Bob, and almost turned into Man's Not in the race, I suppose. And yeah, that would have been catastrophic. You know, for Stewart. Probably would have been Man's not getting any points for Stewart, actually, if he'd done that. But yeah, that would have been really close. Came within whiskers of it. But Stewart is looking like the faster of these two. Thing for Stewart, he doesn't have to overtake And is there really any point maybe of him overtaking? Obviously, if he can maybe catch up to the back of Appledorn, yes, but if not, and Appledorn, to be fair, doesn't look like he's got much pace to answer to. So if he can maybe overtake and catch up to the back of Appledorn, I suppose there is a point, but for me, the reason why I say is there a point of him overtaking, because he's got a comfortable gap to to Top House Vlogger, and we've got now a virtual safety car, so virtual is out, and I think it's going to be upgraded to a full safety car, because I see a yellow dot of what looks like that's usually a safety car entering the track, so there we go. That, I think, is our first safety car, unless the game is bugged, because it's still saying virtual, but I'm pretty sure it is a full safety car now, which, if it is, I think we will see a flurry of cars and a number of cars come into the pit lane, so we'll have to wait and see. Abdorm is coming in. The top two, interestingly, deciding to stay out. Obviously, if this is a full safety car, I personally actually think Appledorm has got the call correct. I know, obviously, that the Inter won't, wear as heavy as the other tyres, but still, you have, 8 to 10 lap fresher tyres. That's significant in F1 2023, because fresher tyres in this game is such a big, significant call. But yeah, Appledorm, the only one of the leaders actually deciding, it's the correct time to come in. Everyone else remaining on the track and remaining out there in this safety car. So yeah, I think Appledorm has made the correct call. And I know he's going to have to get past these cars very, very quick, but he's going to have significantly fresher tyres, which is going to help him so much more compared to the rest. And we are, migrating host, which hopefully doesn't affect the lobby. Sometimes it can. Hopefully it doesn't also affect my stream or the stream tonight, because, again, it can. But, hopefully it won't. We'll have to wait and see. So, lap 24, we are hopefully going to see the safety car come in soon, once the drivers have all been put back together. And, this should be the last safety car. I really do want it to be the last safety car, because no offence, lads, I've got to watch the Chelsea game, Chelsea versus Tottenham tonight, and currently you lads are taking up a bit too much of my time. Which currently, the score is 1-0. Oh, sorry, not 1-0, 1-1. But yeah, would like to watch the Chelsea match at some point tonight. For the rest of it, no offence. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it won't be too much chaos in this third safety car, and hopefully we can just get racing soon. I mean, safety car's done enough laps. Come on, Bird Mylander, come back into pit lane. However, it does seem like there's a huge gap between, not really too sure who that is, Piers or Briggsy? Briggsy seems to be going quite slow. I hope he doesn't know that the whole point, you're meant to keep it within 10 safety car 10 safety car lengths, sorry, 10 car lengths. Obviously, that is probably just within the 10 car lengths, but I don't get why he's going this slowly, which seems a bit unnecessarily, because all you're doing is keeping the, safety car out, really. You're not doing anything else, which, yeah, no need to be leaving about a 3-second gap there between the rest of the cars. Don't even need to leave more than. Hopefully it's not bugged the lobby. But it does look like it's probably... Is it stopped raining? I don't think it has. No. Still raining. Which, yeah. For the leaders, I suppose the longer this safety car is out, the better it is for them, because obviously for them, when this race gets going, it should be now lap 26. If it don't get going on lap 26, or 20, well, at the end of this lap, 25 or 26, then obviously, yeah, what can I say? It's going to be really, really good for the leaders. For Appledorn, he'd probably be screaming, come on, let's get on with it. Because, yeah, for him, the more probably laps he's got to do it, the less stress. Whereas now, he's going to have to really, really be clinical with every single overtake he makes in what is, well, not the ideal conditions out there, certainly far from ideal. So, yeah, for Appledorn, I'm pretty sure he'll want this safety car to come in, and it is in this lap, so here we go then. We are going to go racing once again, and we're going to get then back underway in this race. Again, not really sure why Breezy left such a huge gap, still leaving a bit of a gap which he could probably close up to the back of. It doesn't need to be that far back. Like, honestly, you'd have to ask what is he doing really if he's that far back, but again, not really too sure what's going on there with him. Why he's purposely ruining them drivers' races. I hope that's not deliberate, but yeah, we'll have to see. Anyway, I think, are we going to go racing then? I suppose, well, we are going to go. Safety car's now back in the pit lane, and I think, actually, Top Car Flogger has gone. And Dandan this time actually going more with his rival then. Top Car Flogger has now let the, has now bolted then. So, are we going to see Appledorn make up the positions he needs? He's about 2.7 seconds off this race lead. Has he got enough tyre, and is he going to have enough, I suppose, skill and bravery to go for it? Around the outside, he's going to attempt into turn 3 then, and is he going to get around the outside? You bet he is, and that's what I mean by clinical. Needs to be clinical with every single move he makes then today, or for now, in this final few 4 laps of the Grand Prix. If he does that, there's every single chance, probably if not just every single chance, but there's probably almost a guaranteed chance he will be your race winner then. Hence, we're going to ride on board with the Red Bull driver as he now tries to overtake Neil for P5 in this race. This is going to be a big opportunity. Going to have to make the move count. Obviously, got still 4 laps to do, so don't want to be too greedy. And obviously, still needs to remain a level-headed driver out there in these laps. Goes around the outside. Will Neil give him space on the outside? He does, but can he get the move done on the outside? And indeed, Appledorn can. That is absolutely fantastic. Again, move. Not even opting for the inside line, going for the outside. I like that by Appledorn. Not making his life, I suppose, super easy, just sending it up the inside, making sure, he does the clean moves around the outside, giving his rival space, and making sure he can get the space then done. So, here is Appledorn again on the move. Here we go then for P4, and this is going to be him up into 4th, surely, unless Stewart can fight back. Stewart does have the inside line for the next part of the corner, but with those fresher tyres, it's no real competition for Appledorn, who is now up into 4th in this race, and Appledorn doing a fantastic job on those tyres. Now is 2.9 seconds off the lead, so does have a bit of time to make up to his next rival, and obviously has got a lot of time to make up to the top 2 and top well, to the race leader, but does have a significantly better tyres in this race at the moment. Obviously, Man's Not Bob has got a time penalty, so how much will Man's Not Bob fight, I suppose, will be the big question and the big answer in this race. Ultimately, I hope Man's Not Bob doesn't fight too much, because I think Appledorm, has done the right strategy, and quite frankly should, I'm not saying just let him walk on through, but I suppose a bit of a guard of honour for Appledorm would be the best call. I suppose if anyone should be fine for the win, should be then Appledorm and Top Car Flogger, who, ultimately are, well, in the best position, I would have to say, to go on and win this race. So, obviously, this lap now, Appledorm is significantly closer. Only gained about a second, though. That's not probably enough to win this race, if I'm being truthful. Going to have to make now at least 2 moves on this lap. This is a critical lap of the race for who comes out on top, whether it be Top Car Flogger or whether it will be Appledorm then here in this race at Melbourne. Who's going to win the Australian Grand Prix? Currently, Top Car Flogger is about a second ahead of Dan, who I don't think is going to be able to do it. Man's Not Bob got another time penalty, so that will ensure Man's Not Bob will not be getting the podium tonight or for this first round of the season, and it is getting so much significantly wetter. So for probably the full wet, probably is now time for the full wet tyre, if I'm being brutally honest. You can see the big puddles starting to form, and that much more shinier puddle is beginning to form then there. That usually indicates it is probably time for the full wet tyre, but as we're going now on towards the final lap of the race, a lap and a half to go, currently the top 4 split by 1.7 seconds then here, and currently your race leader, Top Car Flogger, is currently on track to win this Grand Prix. But you know what? Man's Not Bob does want to get involved then here with this one, and isn't going to just, move aside for the cars behind. But you know what? I think this might just give Top Car Flogger the lead he needs into the final lap. Then we will go, and he's got a 1.2 second advantage with only 1 lap to go. So, Top Car Flogger going to begin his final lap now. He is your race leader. Dan P2 currently 1.1 behind. Then Appledorm is in fourth, and is probably now looking down the barrel of the cannon at a P3 or a P2. So, where's Man Not Bob wing gone? That is completely vanished. So must have hit maybe someone. That's really going to kill Man's Not Bob's race. So with only half a lap to go for Appledorm, really P2 is surely the best he can do, unless somehow within this final sector or 1.5 sectors of a lap he can, make up 1.5 seconds. That would be absolutely incredible, but crazy thing to do. It'd probably be one of the craziest things I've ever seen, as Top Car Flogger goes through then the final chicane for the final time in this race. Top Car Flogger is your leader. Is Appledorm going to make the move into the heavy braking zone then? And no is the answer. Does have one more heavy braking zone to go if he wants to get P2. Is still on the better tyres than obviously Dan at the moment, but I think Dan's probably got enough within him to hold this one off. Top Car Flogger apparently he's already crossed the line. I'm not sure that's entirely accurate information, but he is going to be then your race winner today. It's Top Car Flogger then crossing the line in ERL to take the win. Dan I think has held off for P2, Appledorm P3. Apparently they're all crossing the line back here in the final corner. I'm not really sure. This is what I mean. This is why, by bugged, but yeah, you can't ever tell. Yeah, it kind of ruins the end of the race, but yeah, in a bit of anticlimactic fashion, Top Car Flogger is your race winner. Dan is P2, Appledorm P3, Stewart P4, ERL Piers is in 5th. We'll go through the order shortly, but it's Top Car Flogger, your race winner today of round 1. So, Top Car Vlogger getting the first win of the season. There's your top three, obviously celebrating on the podium, and that is then your top three for today. So, this is how they finished then. So, Top Car Vlogger took the win by 2.4 seconds ahead of Dan Dan. And Dan Dan did take the fastest lap actually with a 1:21.0. Obviously, no one went any faster once the rain started to come down. Appledorm in P3, Stewart P4, Piers in P5, and Rodri in 6th. Kev King is 7th, Neil 8th, and F3 is in 9th. Tom is 10th, Morgan 11th, and then Brian 12th, Briggsy 13th, then Zonneville is in 14th. A lap down, apparently we've got Manzanar Bob, Top House Vlogger, Mufasa, Iron Kid, and then Charlie and Elliot is out of the race. And we've had 4 DNFs today. But that is then your Tier 1, obviously, race here at ERL for Tier 1. And obviously next week we will be back once again for more Tier 1 action, this time 8 PM on Monday. And until then, have a great week. I'll be back probably tomorrow for Tier 2, or Tier 3, sorry. And no, it is Tier 2, sorry, I think. Tier 2 crossplay. And we will see what happens in the first round there of the season. So until then, have a great time and see you all then.